Hey there everyone, Mazrock here, and today is going to be the So You Want to Tank Necrotic Wake video. Now I did have a problem with the recording right up until after the first boss. I don't know what happened there, so we're going to go into a 15 at 49% trash count. Luckily, everything to talk about the first portion of the dungeon also applies later on, and we can be put retroactively. So as we enter here, we see that we have the buff from the Kyrian Goliath, and what that does is it pulses out AoE damage and healing, so you really want to use these effectively. You can use one on the first on Blightbone, you can use one on the second pack, so with the Necromancer you can pull everything together and it deals a lot of damage. Do not underestimate how much damage that does. Now these skeletal marauders have a kick, Rasping Scream, that you want to kick, but they also have a cleave that will demolish any melee DPS, so try and aim them correctly. When they get their shield on them, like they do right here, that's the time to burst down, because as you see, when you burst down that shield, it eliminates a massive chunk of their health. So that's the goal here. Now, if you've ever faced the Necromancers, you know that all of his little minions die the moment that you kill him. So really, this isn't as much of an AoE battle as it is a single target fight. You want to AoE as a tank, of course, to get as much threat as you can, but you really want to focus down that Necromancer. As you can see here, this is an inspired week when I did film this. I don't know. Yeah, this is with a guild group and a pug. Really nice guy. So here's Saganon. Not much else to say. Tank him. He does do a little bit of a tank buster, so just watch out for that. So here what I'm doing is, as Saganon is getting lower in health, I already popped my little owl, my steward, to activate the Goliath to save some time. I have a weak aura that automatically selects the orb to get taken. I took the leech here. I meant to take the stone ward. My bad. But here what we're going to do is we're going to... this is a pull that I like to do, and not everyone agrees with this. I like to use the Goliath orbs as well as the exhaust orb that you see right here. I have done this on a 10, a 15, and a 20, and it usually always ends the exact same. Very well. As you can see here, the Kyrian weapons combined, that being the Goliath orb and the exhaust orb, dealt over 100k at their peak. And this translates very well going up. Now, there's always the question of, is that the most efficient route or the efficient way to spend those weapons? Because some people will say that the anima exhaust from the Goliath is enough. Both are right, but do what you feel is best. Just have a plan for those weapons. Very, very important. And the weapons that are the most useful in this dungeon are the spear. So as you see here, I have a spear on me now. I had an exhaust orb above it. You can have multiple weapons. You just can't have multiple of the same weapons in Necrotic Wake. So you can't hold two spears. But you can hold a hammer, a spear, and an exhaust orb all at once. But the order in which you take them determines the order in which you will use them. Being the most recent one that you grabbed will be the most recent, the one that you can use. So that's something that you have to plan out effectively. The spears are best saved for the bosses. I have seen in too many keys people bust the spear out on that Necromancer, for example. There's literally no point at all to doing that. It makes no sense. Save it for bosses. And usually in higher keys, what I'm seeing a lot of people do in 24s and 25s from streamers and things I see, they don't even spear this boss here. They actually save all of the spears for the bosses up above, because the spears will grant a 20% extra damage debuff taken onto the boss, and those last bosses can be really, really tricky. Now what I do here in the pug groups and guild groups that I do, we spear the last 3 bosses. When we hit about 33% here, I will use the spear and I will line it up. So as you see there, the spear immediately takes out the Inferno Tormentor, and we just go right into the boss. He already gets chunked down. Easy peasy, right? Now this boss here, as you know, he spawns a bunch of ads. So you want to try and kick the mages in and try and stack, if you can, the mobs onto the crossbowman, because he does not like to move at all. Now, a little tip here, if you do not know as well, any CC that you have on those ads when he does a when he does the Grim Harvest, which deals a bunch of damage, if there's any of those ads up left, will stop the damage from going out on the final harvest. So you can hard stun, there's the shackle from the priest, frost trap, anything like that you can do. Keep him in there. The paralysis from the monk, everything like that. And another tip for you tanks is, especially if you have melee in the group, when he does the final harvest, before he does the final harvest, after you've killed all the ads, wherever the ads died, move the boss out of it, because you're going to have all of those pools around that, you know, melee just can't do damage. You're extending the fight for no reason. So after here, I use the spear. I'm going to go get the second orb, because I like to do 2 really big pulls with the orbs. That's just me. I do 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, and then we go from there. So up next, we go upstairs, and then we're going to do a big pull with the orb. Now, coming up here, sometimes I'll pull the one on the left here, but here it's inspired, and that patchwork soldier is going to stop this corpse collector right here. Now, this is the one where you want to kick him, you want to stun him. His cast cannot get off. Drain fluids is an incapacitate, which is terrible for 3 to 4 seconds, especially if it lands on your healer. But gore splatter also deals a lot of damage, so you do really want to watch out for that. So as you see here, the Kyrian, this is simply just that orb dealing 30k on top of everything else. We even had the Demon Hunter die pretty quickly. Now in this pull here, there are 2 corpse collectors, so you really want to make sure that you kick those. Aside from that, the Flesh Crafter does a repair flesh, you want to kick, and then this Spine Crush off Loyal Creation hurts very badly in higher keys. And of course the Flesh Crafter, if you do not know, he does that throw cleaver cast right there, which you want to try and aim it at another mob. If there are no other mobs available, what you do is, as a tank, place yourself between who it's aimed at and the mob. Don't move out of it, because in higher keys, that will literally chunk a DPS. And like, for example, if it's a bolstering week, it will hurt. It will probably even one-shot most characters. It's really one thing else. So here what we're doing is we're just trying to burst down the Patchwork Soldier as well. I had asked for a stack so he wouldn't move around, but things kind of got a little nuts. I was in comms with 4 of them. The Demon Hunter was a little off, and then boom, we go there. So here there's not much else to say. Again, we go get another Flesh Crafter and another Loyal Creation. Nothing much to see there. So we're going to move up ahead. And those Flesh Crafters and the Corpse Collectors, that also applies in the first area of Necrotic Wake as well. Very important to try to make sure those are kicked and everything else. While we have a little bit of downtime here, down below, I don't have this recorded, but the Gatekeepers are the last thing that you want to pull. They're going to slow down your dungeon incredibly fast. On the first stage before Blightbone. Those are the things you really want to ignore while routing, because until they die, there's a gate that just constantly spawns enemies that doesn't really add to your count. They're very low enemies. It's annoying. It kills time, precious minutes that you want to keep. Now here, for the Kyrian Stitch work, he does a Tenderize and Mutilate cast. If you look at my debuffs up here, I have the Tenderize. This is going to stack, and whenever he hits Mutilate, it hits harder depending on how many stacks of the Tenderize debuff that I have. Now, as a tank with my gear, I'm pretty okay with 3 to 4. 4s being my max on depending on the weeks, but I'm also usually going to burst. So as you see here, it does take a chunk of health. Now there is a way to start kiting that. At 6 seconds left on the cast, you can use a movement-based ability. He's fast, he chases you, he cannot be stunned or slowed, so you have to use Pony, Door of Shadows, whatever you can to move quickly away, and you do that at the 6 second cast. If you're doing it on a Door Shadows event your character and you're relying on Door Shadows, probably more the 7 to 8 second cast because there is the cast time to Door Shadows. So keep that in mind. Now, these stitching assistants, this one here will fixate a character. If you're a paladin, you can bop. This one here stays put. So usually you kind of kill the separation assistant first and then this stitching assistant. But important note, on sanguine weeks, you want to opposite that. Now, not to say that it does matter. It doesn't. Kill whichever one you want. Just that fixation cast is brutal. This one here only does drain fluids. But you want to kill the one that's stationary first on sanguine weeks. Because if you kill the one that moves first and then there's a sanguine puddle, that stitching assistant is just going to heal itself up. And there's literally nothing you can do at all to stop it. He will not move no matter what you do, and then he'll hit, and then you're just killing time for no reason. This gore grind, again, the tenderize mutilate. This gut slice is brutal once he aims that at DPS, tanks, things like that. So if you have any off healing, this is very good to save that for like if you're paladin, druid, things like that. Anything that you can kind of do to maybe help out. If you see the gut slice is aiming away from you, that's a good time to get some off healing ready onto whoever is about to get hit by it, because it hurts. And I never really realized how much it hurts until I played Arms Warrior, and I was like, oh, you go from 100 to 40% real quick. One thing I really like about Paladin is the amount of off healing that you do get. Very, very nice. So we're gonna go from there. Then we're gonna get the other pack that's gonna come out here. Now, Rot Spew, this one here. What I like to do, and you're probably going to see me do it here. Sometimes I forget just because I'm just playing. Sometimes we like to play with our brains off. Sometimes we actually like to play. Now here, I saw the... this is just a general tanking tip in all dungeons. If you see a ground-based effect go off, keep them in it, man. That's your DPS trying to do their job, is do damage. But the reason why I'm pulling him back here is because his corpse leaves behind an AoE that just deals damage. It's not fun, so you don't want that on the boss floor. It's just extra damage that your healer has to heal through and things like that instead of having to do actual damage. It slows down your boss progression. So as you see here, he dies. He still has that poisonous gas around him. It deals damage, plain and simple. So here, you just want to make sure, of course, you don't deal too much damage to Stitchflesh. Now, we murdered the surgeon here, not the creation, but we murdered. So you don't really get to see it. But what happens is the Stitchflesh's creation, there's 2 ways to aim it. So first, there's 3 ways. You aim it at the boss when he's there. First one. The second one, you want to aim it to the boss. Now, what's going to happen is someone is going to get a fixate from the surgeon himself. Now, if you get if you're a DPS player and you get that fixate, you want to just walk in a straight line. So whoever gets the meat hook can go between you guys, or not between you guys, but like behind you, to immediately hook him back, and that stops the fixation, so you just don't have to worry about it. And on the second cast of meat hook, the boss is still going to be up, but you want to aim it at the stage, because as you start the process of aiming at the stage, the surgeon Stitchflesh is going to go back, and you automatically bring him back, and that's how you kind of work it out. There, I lost aggro to the Earth Ellie, because that's a thing that happens, and I just really don't care. He can take it. While we just kind of murder down Sturgeon Stitchflesh, we had quite a bit of damage going out in our group. But here you can see that the spear dealt 6k damage, and everybody else's damage gets a little bit more boosted from the 20% boost. And lastly, the last boss. One thing I'm really bad at is hitting Freedom on whoever's about to get the Frozen Binds cast. As you can see here, 15% damage immediately done just from 1 spear. Now, this is a very, very good place to have your group save the hammers. When Nalthor gets that shield right there, the hammer breaks that fairly quickly and adds an extra little crit chance on top of it. So, very, very good. This is the boss to save all of your hammers if you can. So, ideally, to save them all, it should be the first weapon anybody picks up. And then kind of as you use them along and things like that, there's, you know, it's pretty easy to kind of organize as long as you keep track. A lot of people think that Icy Shard cast is magic damage. It is not. It is physical damage. If you are a prot warrior, you can shield block it. Any sort of physical damage mitigation that you have is best for that and not magic damage mitigation. Aside from that, avoid the Comet Storms, have some fun. Freedom, or any movement-based ability, can get you out of that, this little Frozen Binds cast right here. Aside from that, that are the basics for tanking Necrotic Wake. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. Sanguine Depths is coming up next. I had a very, very good run on my DK where everything kind of happened where I wanted to see it, and then we're going to go from there. Come join the Discord, link down below if you want to see, if you're into Twitch and want to come and ask some questions live. I'm very, very chatty. Coming by, the Twitch description is down in the link below. If you have any questions on any of the tanks, I'm always down to talk tanking. Aside from that, again, Discord link down below. I hope you guys are enjoying 9.2 as much as I am and are excited to tank the new, all of the dungeons coming up with the double legendaries. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourselves a good day.